Hey guys, so if we want to use ChatGPT to help us with our research, a great starting place is with brainstorming. It's great at helping us figure out what interesting ideas maybe exist. And so I just said, I need help brainstorming, right? I was just honest and said directly, I need help coming up with this problem connected to Kazakhstan. I'll eventually look for solutions, but right now I need help with some problems. And at this point, it's going to give us a few ideas: water scarcity, environmental pollution, economic inequality, healthcare access, corruption. These are some pretty big ideas. From here, we can go a number of ways. We're still way too large. These problems are too massive for us to tackle. And so we need specific detail here, okay? And so we could go a number of ways. I'm going to say, I don't want to do something so big like these. I'm looking for a smaller problem that hasn't been talked about a lot, right? And so I'm going to ask it something like this. And now that I'm recording this, of course, it's going slower. So I'm going to say that this is not a super intelligence. So just because it's telling us this bit of information does not necessarily mean that what it is saying is true. You can't expect GTP to provide completely accurate information. You do have to look it up and make sure that it's correct. The other thing that it often doesn't do is it doesn't necessarily base its information, or it may not base its information off of the most relevant data or the newest information. So we still have to do some research here, okay? And we still have to kind of figure it out. And so ChatGPT isn't going to do your job for you, but it will make you better at your job of figuring out a good idea and a good topic, because this is so important to coming up with an interesting, well-researched topic here. And so it is giving me some specific details here. Lack of access to education in rural areas, right? So it's a little more specific than, yeah, they didn't say anything about education. Affordable housing, public transportation, availability of mental health services, access to clean drinking water, okay? And so at this point, let's say, let's pick one and say, okay, limited, actually, let's just say number 2 sounds like a good topic. Can you break it into smaller sub problems? Let's see what it says, okay? So we're going to try to see if it will give us maybe even more specific bits of detail. So affordable housing is still a very big issue. It's a very complicated issue, complex issue. And so, what about affordable housing is really our problem? Because with this process here, we're focused on either finding a topic to research, or in the case of tech writing for our class, a specific problem, or if you're working on your PSA for digital media, a specific problem. And so here we have some specifics: limited availability of rental properties. Okay, so that's a very specific thing about affordable rent. Okay, lack of regulations around renting. That's an interesting one. A high cost of purchasing property, limited availability of government subsidies. And so if we find one that we're interested in, we can read more about it and see if it sounds like it's something cool. All right, so let's take number 4. While the government does provide some subsidies for housing, these subsidies are limited and often difficult to access. This can make it difficult for low-income families to find affordable housing options. Okay, so let's say we like number 5, all right? Or number 4. Number 4 is a good idea. And then let's say, let's ask, let's ask it, could you provide a few seminal and, let's say, important academic sources to research on this topic? Also, a few news articles from Kazakhstan would be helpful. Okay, so something like that. We're going to get some sources where we can actually then take that information and start reading through the information and start figuring out more details. ChatGPT can't do all of this work for us. If you are struggling to write anything, if you're sitting at your computer and you're trying to write, but you just can't, that's because you haven't done enough reading and research. Generally speaking, we can't write about what we don't know. And so if you ask me to write about how awesome my plants are here, I could just write forever. All right. But if you ask me to write about what it's like to be a woman in Kazakhstan, I can't write about that because I haven't researched it. And even though ChatGPT will help us here, it can't help you in knowing the information well enough to write about it. So you do still have to read these sources and read this information. But here we go. We have a bunch of sources. Let's see how helpful they are. Mental health in Kazakhstan. Okay. All right. So that one is not really great. Did I pick the wrong one? Government subsidies. Did it think oh, it thought I meant number 4 here. Okay. So again, there's a problem. Okay. So I need to indicate that I'm talking about this one. So tell me more about your idea on, well, actually, now provide me sources for number 4, limiting availability of government subsidies. So it clearly misunderstood us here. Okay. And so let's hope that it can find some for this one. And this is what we can do. We can continually ask it to get more specific, more direct. We can ask it to provide sources, and therefore take those sources and then research them ourselves. All right, let's see what it finds here. Now, the next question I'm going to ask it is, one thing that you can do if you want is you can ask it to combine certain topics or connect certain topics to certain concepts. Let me explain. So here we've looked at limiting the limited availability of government subsidies for assisted living, for affordable housing. Well, from that perspective, we could take a technological perspective, right, and look at it from a technological viewpoint and ask ChatGPT to maybe include information about the problems with technology connected to this, or what are the major hurdles overcoming these subsidies. And you can continue to ask it more and more questions. Again, you do need to be careful that it's accurate. We can't just believe what it says. We do need to verify all of this, but it can really help you start to hone down a very specific bit of detail. I'm going to stop it at that point, but it is sending us some information here. The impact of housing subsidies on housing expenditures in Kazakhstan. Okay. Housing living conditions, Kazakhstan. All right. Low income housing and slums in Kazakhstan. All right. So at that point, like I said, we can try to combine it in some way. So we could say, what technological problems does Kazakhstan face in providing more government subsidies to, I cannot spell subsidies. All right, let's see. Subsidies. Oh, forgot an S. Subsidies. What technological problems can Kazakhstan face in providing more government subsidies for affordable housing? And so we might start to deconstruct the problem a little bit more and break it apart to see, is there a technological problem? We can ask, what social problems does it face? What corruption problems does it face? Has Kazakhstan tried subsidies before, and how did that go, right? And so there's so many questions we could ask it just to start generating all of these ideas. And don't stick with just one idea yet if you haven't picked one. you really want to start looking, and you want to get as specific as you can. Last time I did this, I ended up, and I was just for fun playing, I ended up on a topic about preserving Kazakhstan's cultural heritage through tourist attractions across Kazakhstan, through cultural tourist attractions like Bektaoata or things like that, right? And so there's so many ways that you can get more specific. So again, try it out. Don't let it do the work for you. It can't do all of the work for you. Don't trust it completely. Verify the information and use it as a springboard to then dive into the actual content. The students who get an A on their assignment here are going to be the ones who don't use ChatGPT to try to write your report for you, because it's not going to turn out good. But also, you use ChatGPT to the right amount to come up with good ideas and make sure you're asking the right questions. And you know, if you don't know where to go, you can just ask ChatGPT itself. If you don't know how to use ChatGPT here, you can say, how can I best use you to discover more information about subsidies, right? And it will give you some ideas on how to use itself. So there are so many different questions. And if you're ever in kind of in a stuck place, you can just ask ChatGPT to help you, and it will help you overcome the challenges of using ChatGPT itself. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Thanks, guys. Good luck on your research. Come up with some great topics, come up with some interesting topics, some unique topics that you guys are passionate about researching.